回到2019炉石战记 HCT 世界总决赛冠军总决赛的现场，我是主持人安娜丽。Welcome back to 2019 HCT World Championship Grand Final. I am the host of today, Anna Lee. 皆さんこんばんは。ハスストーンワールドチャンピオンシップへようこそ。私、司会務めますアンナリと申します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。はい、いよいよ決勝戦となりました。皆さんぜひ最後までお見逃しなくチェックしてください。是的，我们即将要进行的呢，就是我们在今年2019年炉石战记 HCT 世界总决赛的最后一场冠军总决赛。那我们两位选手呢，都是经过了重重的关卡，一路过关斩将，来到了这个舞台，要来证明自己就是世界上最强的炉石战记选手。所以呢，接下来我们就要邀请两位选手登场了。The next match is going to be the grand final of 2019 HCT World Championship. Who is going to claim the title of HCT World Champion? Let's welcome the two players to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Viper and Hunterace! Okay, gentlemen, please shake your hands. Please come to the center of the stage. And good luck to you. Please be seated. 好的，紧接着我们非常紧张刺激冠军总决赛就要开始了。究竟我们世界冠军会降落谁家，以及可以独得25万美元呢？现在就把我们画面交给主播赛评。Let's send it over to our casters.
It is time. I am Raven, and joined by Sottle, it is our honor to bring you the finals of the Hearthstone World Championship. Two players are left. A year at least of hard work has led to this one moment. And now I think you could see it when they walked out that this means everything. They look exhausted before they even started. And that is not just sheer being tired, that is realizing what is on the line for each of these players.
Yeah, I feel like Hunterace in particular is just hour by hour, series by series, game by game, just descending into this shriveled husk version of himself. Like, can someone get that boy an ice cream, vanilla or pistachio, please?
Or both.
He needs his life force. he does seem to have so much taken out of him. Viper, I think, looks fairly normal. He's a very stoic character when he plays at the best of times. He definitely hasn't shown too much emotion throughout the tournament. But Hunterace, I think, has had the slightly more rocky road to get here as well, with some real kind of back and forths and tempo swings and ridiculous outcomes in a lot of his games. So we'll see if he's got it left in him to play another series at the level that he demands from himself.
Yeah, and that is a high demand. Speaking of the roads to get here, not only just in this tournament, but to get to this tournament full stop, Hunterace came through with the highest point earner ever, basically, for this tournament, and managed to go through that way. And that required a year of straight hard work, all the tour stop grind, all of the actual ladder grind, everything possible to get to those points, and he couldn't make the cut through playoffs. It never worked out for him. Whereas Viper made it to a championship, qualified through that, and then has moved on and progressed. Want to continue doing well for the rest of the year, of course, but that is how he got his spot. Hunterace had to work consistently, non-stop throughout the year.
And Hunterace also has a history with this. When he's brought slow decks to long, grindy Swiss tournaments, he has often said come round 4, round 5, round 6, that he feels he's exerting so much mental energy on playing these decks that he's not then playing optimally, you know, hour 6, 7, 8 into the tournament. So we'll see. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And there is a lot on the line, so Hunterace needs to play his very best.
Yeah, let's check out for the final time for this season and for HCT as a whole, what the deck list is going to be. Miracle Rogue is going to be banned out from Viper, probably a signature deck from him and archetype overall. So he will not be allowed to play his favored class and archetype, and Hunterace banned the Control Warrior. So we see on both sides now, you know, what a funny moment where Rogue only as a one-of in this whole lineup that's the only class out of the top 2 that's going to be played here. 1 out of a possible 4, potentially, is only going to be there, and Hunterace does have the Rogue, the Summoner Mage, and the Control Shaman versus the Zoo, the mid-range Hunter, and the Mage. So I think Mage now cementing itself as at least top 3.
Yeah, there's going to be a a lot of that deck on ladder after this tournament, I would suspect. Like, get your betrayals and your big game hunters and everything else at the ready to go, because you're going to have to be killing some mountain giants if you want to be successful on ladder over the coming weeks. But yeah, for me, question mark decks. We've talked about it a lot. It's a nature of this tournament being so close to the set rotation that a lot of these players have one deck that they're not entirely happy with. For me, in these two lineups, it's the Zoo Warlock on Viper's side. It's the Shaman on Hunterace's side. If those two decks run into each other, that can be a huge swing in terms of who is going to be taking home that trophy.
Yeah, it really is. It's less about the matchup specifically and more about just getting a win and removing the deck from the lineup and having to play them out. I am pumped for this one, and that fancy stage right there, making those visuals happen, often mean you're ready to get in the game. The players are good to go. Game number 1 of the finals of the HCT World Championship. Here we go. Hunterace on the Rogue and Viper on the Zoo Warlock.
Well, Hunterace already, deep breaths, sucking air, huge inhales. He's got a long way to go. This series hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, I must admit, though, I honestly can't even imagine what it means and how it feels right now to be one of those two gentlemen on the seats in the center stage in this arena, packed out, all the pressure in the world on them, and they cannot afford to misstep because each player is good enough that they will punish their opponent if they misplay.
But if Hunterace was nervous about getting off to a strong start, the Rogue gods have smiled upon him, because when you are facing down Zoo, Coin, Evil Miscreant, SI7 Agent, and a Shadow Step is about all that you can ask for, sans a backstab.
Completely true, couldn't agree more, and I don't want to go there again this
Not touching that one with a 10-foot pole, Raven.
You've done enough, Sol, but I will say, before that draw, Viper's opening is not too shabby either, just as much as the Evil Miscreant is a key card in Rogue because of the power level of lackeys. I see an Evil Genius with a one-drop Death Rattle, which is perfect outside of maybe an egg to have procced. But there is the question mark, the Refarm, a 7-drop. Never mind about Refarm, never mind about what it does. It's a 7-drop that cannot be reduced in mana cost that is in your hand from turn 2. That just, well, from turn 1, sorry, that just isn't good. Doesn't matter what the card does, that's just unplayable for 6 more turns after that. So that's just a fact of the matter. People argue it with me if you want, I am used to it. But the 1-1's being played here is gonna...
Just gonna get arguments now. Reform doesn't cost 7, you idiot.
I'll be like, okay, I don't know. We see the 1-1s now just being able to fill out this curve. If Viper chooses, do you think, I don't know if he really needs to rush this Evil Genius. He can't really play the lackeys anyway this turn, so there's no inherent instant gain. I do like going wide and saying, yeah, Hunterace, I've got 3 sticky minions. You're already in trouble, friend. You want to put the pressure on.
You know what deals pretty well with 3 1-1s?
A 1 million.
Yes.
With quad Wind Fury.
Ooh, double rush.
Okay.
2 damage lackey and rush lackey are probably right up there with the spell lackey in this matchup, I would say, just because it is so board-centric, so tempo-based, and those are the fantastic lackeys for achieving tempo.
I think as long as the Rogue has the minions, though, right? You know, as long as there's something to combo them with.
There's a 1-5. It's chilling.
Yep. And I think also importantly, there is the fence that can combo with it. It kind of...
I guess,
You've got a card that you didn't start with in your hand, so the fence gets buffed. I don't know.
But Hunterace has important decisions to make starting next turn. His hand has played itself up until this point. Coin the lackey, see what happens. Now he has to decide, does he want to Shadow Step the lackey and go digging for more lackeys and go for the 2 damage and key spells like Fan of Knives off Ethereal Lackey to try and get him over the line that way? Does he want to go the SI7 route where multiple Shadow Steps on a SI7 can represent so much board control for Rogue in this matchup as well?
Yeah, side note as well, the mana fountain there just not...
Mana Reservoir?
Tomato.
You might be right, actually. I'm not entirely sure.
I might well be wrong. But most importantly, there are Soulfires in this list. So, and potential spells from the lackeys, right? So, you know, although it's a bit of a...
What is happening?
Wow. We are rushing through this game.
Why are there 4 of them, Raven?
Because Miscreant got played twice and it can happen? I don't really know what you want from me here,
Of course. Sorry, how foolish of me.
Yeah, I'm like, eh? Here comes lackey number 2 of 4.
What do you do with it? It's just the Russian +1 really isn't doing a great deal.
I mean, it's removing 2 minions when you keep chaining them together.
It's fair.
It is something versus Zoo, and removing the minions is pretty key. You talked about the power of Hunterace's Rokan right now, but bear in mind there are no backstabs, there are no Fan of Knives available. Also, does Hunterace even play Fan of Knives? He does not, right? No, he doesn't. So there's no backstabs, and I think most importantly, there's no, say, prep for the raiding party to really get things cooking. He does have Corsair and the pick, though.
Yeah, I think with pick and one Corsair already in his hand, like the necessity of casting raiding party anytime soon this game really does go away. So I think he can, he can live without a prep for now. I think one of the big problems he's walking into right now is that because all of these lackeys are the rush version, he doesn't really have like a good combo activator for his SI7 this turn. Because the only minion he's going to want to rush next turn is the SI7 agent itself, which means he would have to play it after the SI7, and that just doesn't work that way around, doesn't activate the combo.
Funnily enough, he could actually just go fence, rush the 1-1, rush the fence,
that's an option.
Get some work done, depending on the board.
Yep.
But that is a pretty beefy minion in itself, a 4/4 now, but not technically because the Direwolf, but you get the gist. That is a bit of a sticky minion
right.
that Hunterace is going to have to consider now. Backstab might help out a little bit. Yeah, like I said, he could play fence and just rush it with the goblin. I think this Direwolf is actually priority number 1 for me right now. 4 damage on the board, and it's only going to continue to stack. We saw what a Direwolf being left on the board can do.
So many options.
In terms of just positioning of minions more than anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Blood and plunder.
You're going to go for the biggest minion first, mainly because the pick lines up extremely well with it. Get that Corsair down, but the Corsair is just already dead. And I just said, we've seen what one Direwolf can do.
Oh!
What about 2 plus a Grim Rally?
That's so much damage.
And that enables a one singular clean trade for this Dread Corsair to die with this Argent Squire.
Yep.
And then the buffs keep rolling.
He can even
Grim Rally, why not?
Cheat the Direwolf conga line here as well to push out some even more damage. Hunterace looking cooked this game.
Yeah, I mean, look at his face. He's kind of just like, welp, I guess that's just going to be it for now because he just doesn't really have much he can do. The prep is a card that can be used to combo SI to start off with, and then maybe you do something else. Means he can double Goblin Prank, so he can get 2 trades if he wants.
Prep raiding party finds him his second Dread Corsair sometimes.
Yeah, there's 2 burglars though.
That's not it. So now with no defensive options.
Just SI rush.
SI rush, Shadow Step the SI? Is that a better way of doing it?
It leaves less minions on. Oh no, because the rush the rush will die, right?
It's just 2 different ways of doing the same damage.
You're right. Wait, oh, he could Shadow Step, replay, swing, replay.
Yes.
I don't know if that's better, subtle, but it's something he can do, is all I'm going to point out right now. It allows him to not take the damage on the SI.
He takes 3, goes down to 5, and then he SIs the other 3-2, and he's alive by 1. Yep.
Oh, Hunterace not happy. Can't blame him. He is under a lot of pressure. Head in hands now. He's just going to hope. Is there 1 damage? There is not, but there is a life tap. Which with him, still not. But what's the next turn look like, even if Viper didn't get lethal? Like, he's at 1. He can't take a single damage, and Viper runs 2 Soulfires in the list, and a Solarium, and a Knife Juggler. And 2 Knife Jugglers, and another Evil Genius. There's so much damage from hand, potentially.
Amazingly, the Witchwood Imp, the 1/1 stealth, has just turned out to be the lethal draw here, because that's the card that Hunterace cannot beat right now.
Liar! Technically, liar!
So he pokes the Argent Squire, he backstabs the Flame Imp, and he equips the Explosive Trap.
Yep, pretty much what he does have to do there. So let's take a look now. There is a way. But this Explosive Trap has to be played. It's the only way this Imp dies. You look at, oh, the fence, great minion, because it can go now. Doesn't matter, it can't attack a stealth minion. Now Viper, just got to consider this carefully. Another Witchwood Imp. Does he just go in and play Refarm? Taps.
I assume this interaction happens simultaneously, where the minions both die before the extra health is given?
I believe so, but I'll be honest, not something I've run into too much right now. Hunter hasn't been playing traps.
Well, let's find out.
Yep.
Yep. Passes all the health over for the Void Walker.
It does die, though, with the rush, Goblins. There's a Vis.
No way.
No
way, Raven.
My next question, yes, there were taps for lethal.
Yes.
Was it just okay to drop a massive minion?
Yes. I think it was definitely a justifiable line that turn to just drop the huge minion and threaten lethal.
Weapons cannot be used to kill it.
You have to keep in mind that Viper's dealing with an unknown secret though there. So he didn't have the knowledge that he was about to play into explosive trap. Magic carpet is air, and now Viper has decision time again. Life tap to find lethal, or just play the huge minion.
And the problem now is the board is wide enough that
it just kills it.
Well, one juggler.
He's going to go looking. This is everything. That's nothing.
He might be dead.
Waggle pick of this coming out from Hunterace. That's absurd. That is ridiculous, Raven.
Hunterace looked ecstatic that he could win that game. Look at him now. Full zoned, full focus. Okay, he got this. Viper, on the other hand, the hands came up, the glasses flew to one side, and Viper, I believe, now is shook, and I do not blame him. I would probably not be able to play after that if I was Viper. And that is just game number 1.
The sequence of turns, from the point where the Grim Rally turn happened, Hunterace was dead. And then he found a way to gain a second life. SI7 Agent, 3 times to clear the board with Waggle Pick, leaving himself alive at 1 to the remaining Flame Imp. And then a discovered explosive trap that Viper played his minions into, leaving only a single Void Walker in play, as he was just disrespecting the explosive trap, an unknown secret, looking to secure lethal for himself. Absurd game, ridiculous, nonsense.
Game number 1. And I'm going to go back again, right? I will talk about Rafam. Rafam could have been played and wasn't. The benefits, it's a big dude that weapons cannot be used against. Yes?
Downsides, Sap,
yes,
very much behind at that point.
And plus, your taps, instead of me listing a reel of cards that could get him lethal, no longer,
clunky
because
idiots.
legendaries.
Yeah.
So I am not saying Rafam should have been played, blah, blah, blah.
It's a talking
none
point.
of that. Yeah, it was
point.
definitely a hard decision because, again, jugglers would have been big. 2 Soulfires, a Solarium to dig even deeper, Evil Genius onto a minion to get a Lackey to deal damage for the 2 damage, or maybe even a cheeky 2-drop, you never know. There were many taps that would have got him there, but they didn't. Game over. 1-0 to Hunterace. We're moving swiftly on. Let's get straight into it. Now, it's a Mage Mirror. And if you thought the Rogue versus Zoom matchup just got funky, welcome to Mage Mirror. It's either going to be explosive and end very quickly, or we're going to go down a funky road again.
Yeah, this mirror match can be a real clown fiesta, to bring it all the way back to 2017 Hearthstone lingo, or rolling back through the ages, because the chances that one of the players in the double Mountain Giant doubles Book of Spectres deck don't get to a Mountain Giant early in this game is so low, right? Like, one of them almost always does. If one does and the other doesn't, the game is just a snowball fest. It's just over. The interesting games, the one where absolute chaos happens, are where both players get access to the Mountain Giants and the Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah, big talking point as well. We did mention it earlier today, but let's be honest, let's just mention it one more time. Secrets, and I don't just mean because one was discovered there, but I mean Viper is playing Arcane Keysmiths, which have key cards against a deck that doesn't run many spells, and the ones that it does run, half of them are targeted, which means they can completely mess up Conjurer's Calling. Hunterace does not run Arcane Keysmiths, which means he has a slight disadvantage on that end of town.
No Giant. 3 minions, but no Giant. He has 1 more draw for it. If he picks it up next turn, Viper can play it on turn 3.
Already, though, the mind games, it's splitting image. It isn't good right now. But then can Viper play a Giant into a mirror entity? Can he set up a Conjurer's Call? He plays a Giant, for example. If he drew it, which he hasn't, it's safe, not mirror entity. Is it Spellbender? Just this secret already from Hunterace is doing the opposite to what I said he could do. It wasn't from a Keysmith, but it was discovered.
Yep.
Great pickup. Mind games.
Not the first time we've seen it as well. I mean, the very last game we saw it. The value of all the secrets that the one you put in play isn't, as well as the one that it is.
And now nods to, guess what, if my opponent goes wide.
Oh, Hunterace is back in it. Hunterace is very much back in it. Twilight Drake pick up.
Not bad.
And in the absence of a giant, that minion is king right now.
And again, you saw Viper there just play the mind control tech. It's something to play. And also, if your opponent in this mirror goes so wide, you can mind control tech. You're normally dead the next turn anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Wow. What did I say about the chances of neither player hitting a mountain giant?
Slim. I'm not doing numbers, so already low. Viper just... Both players just need to take a breather.
Puny 4-9.
Yeah, what a wimp. But again, we talk about concealed, hidden information. Double Messenger Raven in Viper's hand. It's maybe not as powerful as a secret, but it's still something. It could create extra minions that have a huge impact on this game. He could get his own Arcane Keysmiths. You never know. I do think Voodoo Doll hero power is a great test for some other things as well. Or you could just Voodoo Doll... No, you couldn't Voodoo Doll pass. I think you just chuck it out and start pushing damage. I guess you test for Vape if you want to run a 410 in. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, if you're making that play, you attack face first, right?
Yeah,
because then if you proc Ice Barrier or Vaporize, then you've learned extra information about the turn and can reassess. I mean, the natural turn that I want to make is just Fire Tree and Messenger Raven. But both of those cards replace themselves in the hand. And Viper has a full hand right now, and he needs to draw a Mountain Giant. So...
And also, it just removes levels of shenanigans. Viper considering the attack. He's only got a few seconds left. He goes for it. More knowledge. Knowledge acquired with 0 loss.
Yep.
Very, very good play there.
He is now down to Counterspell, Spellbender, Splitting Image.
Yes. The 3 worst ones, you could argue.
Yes, exactly.
It's like the 3 worst ones for Viper.
Yeah. Viper, I'm afraid we've got some bad news.
Yeah.
It's one of the good secrets.
Yeah. But Hunterace does not have a powerful turn, and I think most importantly, Viper has a coin. That's all.
Sure does.
He can test for Counterspell safely with coin. If it's not Counterspell, he can Astromancer and gains more knowledge. If it is Counterspell, he could just do some other stuff. He could double Raven and kind of be okay with it. Because he knows he's not going to get punished any other way at that point. He's not aiming any spells at anyone, so he's safe. And maybe it's not a bad thing that Viper doesn't have Conjurer's Call in, because he's not thinking about whether it's going to ruin him to play it or not. Sounds backwards, but it makes sense if you don't think about it. Ziliak's pass.
Unity, precision, perfection.
Okay.
Ziliak's no attacks. Hunterace choosing to hold on to both his Voodoo Dolls in hand right now. Maybe just trying to get some value out of this Splitting Image while he can, playing the Taunt minion. It's the most power he can put into play in a weird way when you think about it, right? Because the Twilight Drake attacks into the Ziliax, and so a further minion comes out.
There's some knowledge. No Counterspell now. Sorry, just to interrupt.
No, but this is...
Second time this tournament, I believe.
But this is important because this is exactly why he made this play. He was scared of Coin Astromancer, so he wanted to make the play where if Coin Astromancer happened, he had the most power in play in that eventuality.
My next question is, Saul, was the attack always needed there?
Honest answer, I think Viper assumed it was Spellbender at that point.
Okay.
That would be my hand on heart guess on the situation.
Because obviously, if your 4/4 should be bigger but isn't,
yep,
and then you know it's not all but 2 secrets,
yep, and
one of them could make a second Ziliax for your opponent to effectively get charge on. Well, now Viper's safe in terms of conjuring. Could he Fire Tree for Conjurers?
God, these hands, they're both just locked and loaded and ready to go and just waiting for a Conjurer's call off the top.
What about, honestly, Fire Tree, and then you could just play Rabble Bouncer and continue with your life? There's enough stuff to Conjurers right now.
That's conceding a lot of tempo on the board, though. Playing a 2-7 here.
I see a vision in the flames.
Ice Barrier. Oh, does he play the game again? Hunterace plays the secret, and he's like, how does this feel, Hunterace? And they realize it's Ice Barrier, and he's like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, this seems superior to playing the Rabble Bouncer. I think, honestly, just playing the Mountain Giant there seems superior to the Rabble Bouncer to me as well. As huge as it is for those Conjurers calling swings, I think the Rabble Bouncer was just too low tempo. It would pass too much initiative back over to Hunterace.
Speaking of tempo, Scaleworm is available for just a kill on this Twilight Drake. Really the only fearful minion that's left. Of which you can say it's fearful, but out of the two. But is there a good follow-up, though? Is the real question, isn't it?
I don't really see it.
Would he have a Voodoo Doll and then play Scorcher?
I was just looking at that exact play, and it's very bizarre looking.
Because I do want to point out as well, like, the Voodoo Doll to answer a Giant often doesn't work in this matchup because they never just have one.
Right.
And you can't double Voodoo Doll Scorcher on the same turn, which would be sick, actually.
What to do?
I don't really see anything better that leaves anything reasonable on the board. The Scorcher does beat up and make the 2-2 pingable the turn after, even if Scorcher gets dealt with. This is just hit trade, and the Twilight Drake still lives.
Yeah.
It's kind of the turn we just said, but on the other player. And that's why I wanted the Scorcher down.
There is less power in play for Viper than there was on the previous turn, but yeah, it does at least require a ping, which is something I've noticed Hunterace has been doing a lot this game in this mirror match. Is he's been setting up situations where Viper is kind of obligated to ping. You know, you think about the Ziliax no attacks. That's kind of a force a ping turn as well, right? It does have some value in the matchup because you are severely mana choked playing this deck. Everything is so expensive, and you want to play cards together in combination, which often demands all of your mana allocation.
What do you think of a double Raven ping? Obviously, depending on what you draw off Raven, of course, but it's very mana efficient. You do go wide on the board, but the 2-2 goes away anyway because of the trade.
Yeah.
And your hand size stays the same, so Mountain Giant can stick.
Right.
It's still for cheap. Obviously, depending on what the first Discover minion is, you know. Oh. Okay.
It's got to be Spare Khadgar, hasn't it?
I believe so. Or even Pyromaniac, if you just want an extra chunky-ish minion.
You're not wrong.
You know what I mean? Like, there you
just
go.
Play it now, yeah.
It's 3 mana.
It's very
It
reasonable.
swaps out with the Raven, right?
Yeah, you're right. I totally dismiss Pyromaniac. To me, like, that's just the Odd Mage card.
Yeah.
And if you're not playing Odd Mage, it's unplayable. Like, it just doesn't work.
Are you saying Pyromaniac didn't go to Hall of Fame with the odd cards?
Right, yeah. But yeah, that's absolutely. He needs to draw Conjurer's Calling now, right? So a card that says draw a card on it that he could play
Fits
that
in with your
turn
curve.
is just absolutely perfect for him. For sure, the right pick.
Blizzard, very high value. It does stall, and maybe one turn is enough to flip the board in your favor.
Yep.
I don't see anything better unless he wants to just scorch the 3-4. But Blizzard seems good to me. Astral Rift, I think we can throw in the bin. You don't need random stuff, you need the stuff that's actually in your deck to win the game. Just go for the Blizzard. Oh yeah, the Twilight Drake was on 2 as well. Okay, Blizzard's clearly the pick in my opinion. I actually didn't realize the Drake was on 2. Okay, empty board, but Viper, your initiative, friend. Oh, you say that. The secret mind games.
What a wet noodle fight of a Mage Mirror. Just no bombs all the way into turn 9. This is insane. Viper's hand just looks so much more gas heavy right now.
Next question, Sol. How and when does Ysera even get played in this matchup?
How about...
See, welcome to my world. I think you just followed my exact thought pattern, which is scary in itself. If he plays it now, which seems fine, he generates the card, stays on the high hand total, but the vicious tempo swing potentially of just a Voodoo Doll, get wrecked, massive Ysera,
Well, worse than
savage.
that, he ends the turn at 10 cards again, and then potentially burns his Conjurer's Call off the top, which is the
Yep.
one and only game-winning card in this matchup.
So instead, he's saying play some more wet noodles. Well, Viper's not. He's going. Mainly because of this Arcane Keysmith, I think. This is a certain level of protection, and there's a Spellbender. And I like it. This causes havoc. The 1 damage, if you're wondering, if you're wondering about the ping, oh, this matchup's just fair, Sol. If you're wondering about the ping, it's mainly because, yes, Hunterace probably puts a 2-1 into the 2-2, but 1 damage to face on full life does not affect this matchup in any dramatic fashion.
And here's something that you do have to look out for with the Spellbender tech in the mirror, which, you know, we'll go back to the basic level first because we haven't really covered it. Spellbender, the only real targeted spell naturally in the deck is the Conjurer's Calling, which, as we say, is the game-winning card. So if your opponent has a Spellbender up, you try and Conjurer's Calling your Giant, it diverts, you just keep 1 Giant and it splits their Spellbender minion instead. The way you can use that to your advantage is in combination with Mind Control tech.
Right.
You can, if you narrow down the secrets to a Spellbender, you can save up for a double Conjurer's Calling turn, where your turn is Conjurer's Calling number 1, Mind Control tech, steal a minion, play the twin-spelled Conjurer's Calling on the minion that you Conjurer's Call, which you Mind Control tech, sorry, which is hopefully a big enough minion to give you a tempo swing on the board. That's something that Hunterace has got to be on the hunt for now.
Yep. Tough there as well. People might be thinking Order Lull. But if that was Entity, you can't just give him another Giant, but he could have played Giant, Voodoo Doll Ping. But he had to play the Voodoo Doll first, which messed up the Giant mana, just to point that out. I can imagine the chat as we speak.
I pointed out at the start that the most interesting games are the ones where both players hit the Conjurer's Call. I neglected to mention the games where all 4 Conjurer's Calls were in the respective bottom 10s of both players' decks, because I've honestly never seen one. I didn't realize this was a possibility.
It's weird. Now is this the Ysera turn after seeing a doll? I think so. I think this is way more reasonable now. You've seen 1 doll, fine. You're not under that much pressure. There is a mystery secret down that your opponent has to think about as well, although he knows it isn't Entity and that's it, right? Because all he's doing is play Voodoo Doll Ping and play the 3-6. So Entity's out the window. Oh, sorry, he didn't ping. He played the 3-6. He's out the window, and that's about it. Now,
There you go.
no
More
Vape,
info.
no Ice Barrier.
Twilight Drake, Voodoo Doll Ping.
Looks good to me. And now the worrying point is, as you quite rightly called this one, a bit of a wet noodle fight. Well, Hunterace has more noodles, so he is kind of winning at this point. If he can just keep pushing with these minions and Viper doesn't really have an answer, which he doesn't at this point, then he'll win.
How can Viper possibly have 10 cards in his hand with 11 cards left in his deck as Summoner's Mage and not have a game-winning play available to him?
Like this.
Yes.
Nightmare might come in handy, though, for some big trade-ups, if and when required. And to check for a secret, maybe, as well.
It's also a reasonable combination with the Conjurer's Call, right? Like, if you've sentenced your minion to death anyway, you might as well split it open into 2.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, there's a Rabble Bouncer. Not sure if the Sneak's quite ready for this matchup. Not sure if that's his main job.
No.
It's more of a part-time job. But and now, I mean, we've seen both players just say, yeah, I guess we just play the 8/8s. The Noisemakers.
Nightmare could come into play now as the answer to this Giant. Flame Strike 2, very, very effective here as a board clear.
So the sequel to Flame Strike.
Flame Strike 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I get that reference. I think you just Flame Strike Ping. I feel like right now, the game is a race to Conjurer's Calling, 100%. But if you kill this Giant, Flame Strike Ping, then, well, Hunterace just has less stuff in hand. So surely you believe as Viper, you're ahead because you have your secret. Hunterace has to keep thinking about.
Yep.
Yes, you don't have a board. Oh, well, you have a 4-1.
Yep.
Seems like a good position for me, to be completely honest. He could even just play the... oh, no, sorry, we're ping. I'm okay with it. Bit slow, but I think he can afford to be.
It is a little bit slow.
Nightmare.
It's my only concern. It's a little bit slow. But I'm not seeing anything that really seizes initiative much faster.
You've got to get rid of the Giant.
Yeah. And your options to do that are really just kind of Flame Strike and Nightmare. That's about all you got.
As we dig down to the 10 and less card count, someone's drawing the Conjurers. They are in the decks, guys, we promise. So you don't want to just... You don't want to get conjured onto a Giant because you just chose to leave it up when you could have cleared it and still been in a reasonable spot. One more draw for Hunterace and both players top 10.
Hunterace does have to be a little bit careful here because he does still have Astromancer remaining in his deck, and he's dramatically reducing his hand size to the point where that is not a very powerful draw for him.
Is he just trying to kill him, though?
He's at 24.
Well, you know, that Henchland Sneak might hit.
Uh-huh. He's at 21.
Ping.
20.
Scare word might hit.
16.
Do that all over again a couple of times and you're there. My issue is, can you afford to effectively pass?
No.
So he's got to do something.
I know.
You know, you just feel bad about it.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations where you're just illustrating the sadness of Hunterace's current situation. Viper has somehow, you know, kept parity with Hunterace here while maintaining a hand full of cards. Hunterace has had to spend every resource available to him just to stay in this game.
I wonder what Viper's mental count is of the minions left in the deck, because I like this play because he can Aragorn Book of Spectres next turn and get even further ahead in value.
Raven, it's here.
Both players down to 10 cards and we see the first Conjurer's calling.
But Conjurer's Call, Spellbender, 4 minions on the opposing side of the board. Mountain Giant in play. Stealable with Mind Control tech.
What's funnier is that seems quite far-fetched. Hunterace has won more far-fetched games than that. Take a look at the previous game of this series, for example.
Here we go.
Let's see. There's the Spellbender.
There goes the Spellbender. There is 1 minion. Psych, there is 2 minions. If this is the 8-8, I am a prophet.
Go. Hunterace is taking a deep breath. He's going to play it. And the steal is a 1-1. Not what he was after at all. Factually, the worst steal that was available on board. But he had to go for it. Now, does he have to? Okay, he's not going to. I was wondering whether he had to. Felt like Conjurer's calling a 4-drop.
No way.
He does it without Khadgar, which is obviously important.
Exactly. Oh!
Here we go.
Hunterace, you had your shot. You won a 1-in-4 brawl to steal a game in the last series. You had a 1-in-4 mind control tech to do the same here. You can't win them all. These things tend to even themselves out over time. Hunterace just saying, come on, give him to me.
Now, the key play, and I'm going to ask you the question, Sol. Depending on this next draw, is Hunterace Conjurer's calling that Khadgar?
What?
For Doomsayer. I mean, I'm sorry, Sol, but I don't see a better play. Does he just have to? And he only gets 1 because the board's full, unless he can clear something off, right?
I like Viper using the second one here. Firstly, for the reasons you mentioned, only 1 space on the board now for Doomsayer. But secondly, Hunterace does still have Mind Control Tech, Conjurer's Calling swings available to him. So Viper needs to blow past that possibility so heavily with his own board state that it kind of removes it from the equation.
He's going to check the Discover first. And a miss. Those do nothing except lead to Hunterace's death. He needs to go to the Conjurer's Calling, right? Literally no other play.
Calling for Doomsayer.
Yep. And it's only a 1 chance as well.
Yep.
Because the board's full. He can't get rid of it. Yep, there's the prey. I'm pretty sure, if I know Hunterace knows, and here we go. It's a small chance, but most importantly right now, It's a chance. He's going for Doomsday. He has to. Let's see what it is. And by his face, it's a miss. That does not look good. That is Crystal Smith Kangol.
Hearthstone UI, come on, you ruined that moment.
We had Hunterace's face to go by, but Viper is going to even this series up 1-1. And again, another game on the edge of our seats. I'm sure the whole crowd here is on the edge of their seats as well. This is just frankly intense.
That was one of my favorite moments I've ever had casting Hearthstone. When Hunterace picked up the Conjurer's Calling and pointed it at the Khadgar, and everyone in the audience recognized what was going on.
Yeah.
There was just a, oh, that just ran through the room. It was superb.
We see it. As a collective audience, we knew what the play was, and so did Hunterace, but it wasn't to be, and Viper may have just fallen asleep. No, he's okay. He is fighting back here, evening it up, and I think after those two games, these players need a little bit of a breather, and you know what? So do we here on the desk. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is the finals of the Hearthstone World Championship. We'll be right back with some more Hearthstone.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the HCT Fall Championship.
We're going to have 8 representatives that we'll know at the World Championship, and every single time you tack 4 more onto that, it just seems like it gets more and more stacked. I mean, I know we continue to say it, but it just always feels like it's true. In this championship, I think there's a few standout competitors in the field that I'm really looking forward to see compete this weekend.
Great way to finish any Hunter game is with a King Crush. A smile and a nod from Aku. He knows he has lost the series. Saiyan starts these champs off the right way, and to be honest, not the most unexpected way. Everyone has counted on Saiyan to get the job done. Is people's pretty much favorite to win the whole tournament, to be completely honest.
It feels pretty bittersweet. Aku and I have been good friends for 3 years or so, and you know, the one time that we make it to champs, we happen to make it there together, which is great. We're super excited for each other, and then you find out first matches against one of your friends. I'm happy with my play, but overall, still, yeah, pretty bittersweet.
You win this time.
But Sinto concedes, that's going to be Bloodyface winning his group. And getting a few days off for it as well. A bit of a comfortable start for him. Day 1 of the Fall Championship. Well, we'll try maybe knocking on the door.
And with the Grumble on board, Language Hacker knows that has 0% failure rate, so he's not even going to wait it out. And Blood Trail, sir, I think there was some real moments there where Blood Trail, you know, understood at a very high level how he was going to dig his way out of some tough spots.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the final day of the HCT Fall Championship. It's going to be a big one today as we decide which 4 players are going to be going to the World Championship.
Time Meow was the first to reverse sweep this tournament yesterday to make it to the top 8, and now Bloodyface able to take 3 in a row. And you can see the disappointment on Time Meow's face as Bloodyface will take this series 3-2 and be our first World Championship competitor from the fall season.
It's the best feeling ever. It still hasn't completely set in because of all the implications of this. You know, I can probably get sponsors and I can play Hearthstone full time.
And Blood Trail is going to 3-0 Tyler and find himself headed to the World Championship.
非常开心啊，因为打个游戏就可以打到出国，很不可思议。
Bonemare or Hellfire were his options, and Saiyan has fulfilled the prophecy. 2 or 3 months of absolute dominance paid out in the most fitting way possible, and Sinto himself, at the end of it all, is a good guy and a gracious loser, and hands over the World Championship spot to Just Saiyan.
Renman fought hard, but in the end, Language Hacker ruled the day.
Congratulations, the last European has fallen and 3 Americas players. None bigger the moment than right now with Language Hacker being the final player to advance to the semifinals. Congratulations.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm good.
I feel really good after making it to the World Champions. The words are hard to formulate right now. I'm just ecstatic. There's a lot of stuff you have to go through. You're already through the best players in your region, and now you're fighting against the best players in the world to try to secure a spot.
And here it is just the march of the dinosaurs until Language Hacker can close out this game. Bloodyface, he has nothing he can do to deal with this swing.
Yeah, that is a Devil Sore omelet. Bloodyface concedes. Language Hacker is your 2018 Fall world champion.
Yeah, I was nervous. Bloody Face was a good opponent, and I'm glad it panned out the way it did.
On behalf of Blizzard Entertainment, it is my honor to present to you this trophy, $50,000, and the title of HCT Fall Championship. Congratulations.
Hunterace versus Viper, the final showdown of the 2019 HCT World Championship. This is a spicy one. Both players evened it up, 1-1 now. And Hunterace finally taking a loss with that mage, which I believe is the first time in this tournament he has lost with that deck. So very, very impressive run so far, but both players, honestly, looks neck and neck to me, Sottle.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment, primarily because both of the decks that I called out as potentially problem decks in the lineup are still needing to get a win on either side. Shaman and the Zoo from Viper's side. Neither of those decks are going to make an appearance yet again. If we've got our queue information correctly, it's going to be Hunter going up against the Mage again from Hunterace. Hunterace doubling down on this Mage pick. Clearly a ton of confidence in it, and this time he's found the boy, the tech, the Hench Clan Sneak.
Yeah, and I think that was almost a snap full keep there from Hunterace, because one thing I was just going to point out is I've talked a little bit over the course of this few days of the World Championship here that Hunter, the more I see it, I genuinely didn't really like the deck coming into the tournament. The more I see it, the more I see its potential power level versus Mage. And I feel like it's all about play style as well and what you can really push out of the deck, because we've seen matches where, for example, Bloody Face just went highly aggressive, went face with a hyena, and then died, basically, because of the Conjurer's Calling. But if you play aggressive enough, Mage often can't do enough to actually even stem the tide, except that Hunterace has a very anti-aggro-based list for his Mage. He mentioned the Hench Clan Sneak, but also there's double Sunfury Protector, double Swampoos, and then there's also this Sneak double Mind Control tech, the Scale Worms to deal with, for example, Mishas, Huffers, to just get them out the way, a little bit more tricky to deal with, the Scorchers as well, and the Ziliax and the Mossy Horror, which against this style, specifically with all the 1-mana 1/1s, he's going to get some work done.
And there it is, the package.
Wait, what? I don't see it, Sea Giant.
Hench Clan Sneak plus Mind Control tech. Hunterace laid this out step by step to us in our interview before this event even started. He said, you play Hench Clan Sneak. They've usually got 1 or 2 minions in play. You play it has stealth, they have no options, they can't trade into it, they can't value trade, they can't play minions and then trade their board off so they maintain a size of 2 or 3 minions in play. They have to do one of 2 things. Skip development whatsoever, great, that's good for me. Play more minions and play into Mind Control tech.
Yeah.
Great, that's good for me.
And even on top of that as well, that is, you know, turn 3 into turn 4 potentially, but also double Scale Worm, a Twilight Drake, and then a Scorcher. So even if that outcome, which is likely, does not happen, oh no, I have 50 other things I could do this turn. Boo-hoo, I'll save my Mind Control tech for later. Now, convenient as well. Lines up very well versus a Scalehide played on curve.
Yeah. Not so good against a Dire Frenzied Scalehide, though, I will say.
Feels weird, though, doesn't it? Because there is coin. Dire Frenzy looks... it just looks good, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
But what does the rest of your turns look like going forward? It looks a bit meager, at least for now.
You'll work them out.
You draw the Scalehides.
Yep.
Still no, now suddenly this Scale Worm can trade, but then that Scalehide, it's kind of 2 for 2 to a certain extent because of the Dire Frenzy and the coin. So I suppose you'd be okay with that, but maybe a Twilight Drake's just a little bit better.
Agreed.
And then the next question is, does Hunterace just leave the Sneak in Sneak mode and leave it stealth because he is aware that Viper runs a deadly shot? Does he want to just step into it?
What to do?
Is there a big punish for just not going face randomly for 3 damage? I don't think so.
Big fan of leaving this in stealth. Big fan of everything Hunterace did this turn. No need to panic. You're at 26. That's plenty for now. You know you have this Scalehide covered on the following turn if you need to with Voodoo Doll and Ping. And like you said, leaving that minion in stealth, one of the even further benefits that we haven't even talked about is that it continues to play around Deadly Shot.
Hunter's Mark is a nice extra little bonus card that can be used, especially with all the rush and charge minions, just to pick off one big annoying minion like Rabble Bouncer that's just been played. Because in this matchup, you definitely play Rabble Bouncer, just it's a taunt that could stop you dying. Hey, outside of that, yes, Animal Companion's a good card and gives him a strong turn 5 Animal Companion to either Hero Power or the Hatchet. But I think Hunter's Mark might just be good enough along with Deadly Shot. If this Giant into Conjurers just the once, which will be for the next foreseeable turns, is all he can do, then Deadly Shot Hunter's Mark with a minion on board gets that job very, very much done.
Yeah.
Unless this stealth minion just stays in stealth for the whole game. And then Viper's going to have to find a flare.
I think it might be killing this 4-2.
You know what? I can agree with that. I can see it.
Oh, he's thinking about it.
Is like,
he's having a good old
good.
That's his boy, you know? You don't just send your boy out to die. You take care of him. You nurture him.
He's literally just another spectator at this point, just sitting on the board.
Yeah.
But now interesting choices yet again. Oh, the decision-making is just relentless turn after turn. Deadly Shot kills a 4-8. In an average game of past Hearthstone, you would be more than okay with that turn, except it's one of the lesser of the scarier minions in this deck, as a 4-mana 4-8 may be. Does he need to save it? Can he just play an Animal Companion? Can he do something else? Can he just Headhunter's Axe, go face? I don't know. Instead, out of the many choices, it's going to be the Hyena and the Deadly Shot.
Scale Worm turn looking very good now, though.
Oh, yeah.
Geez, 2 mana for Hunter's Mark is a lot of mana to pay for a Hunter's Mark. I was just looking at it there, trying to find some turn that allowed you to push tempo with it, and it's just so restrictive now.
It is, but I do feel this deck can go late game. And I think late game it feels better because so many of you...
You think any deck can go late game against
Okay, by
Summoner's
late game, I
Mage?
mean like 7 or 8 mana.
Against Sark.
Because so much of the curve is so low, you can use 2 mana for the Hunter's Mark. Scale Worm number 1 though, and this is looking fantastic because yes, the face damage right now doesn't really matter if Viper face tanks it, but he will equip a Hatchet and then swing it at a minion and not Hunterace's face, which is worth something in itself.
What to do?
Thinking about playing this taunt.
I think he's thinking about playing either of these 2 minions.
I think with double Hatchet, I don't think you skip. I don't think you can play the use.
I think with you having a face that Hunters are really, really keen on, Sun Fury's really good too. I do agree that a minion needs to be played there, and all I'm arguing is that both of them had their merits, because what Hunterace wants to do next turn is just drop an Astromancer. In order to do that, he needs to fight aggressively for tempo this turn so that he can just play his slightly slower 7-mana guy on turn 7.
I think my view with this board, I think it's more likely that this one Sun Fury, there's 2 of each in the deck, by the way, 2 Sun Fury, 2 Ooze. I think that this one Sun Fury does a little bit more than just an Ooze, and the Ooze gets a lot more value earlier in the game, I would say. This might look like an Astromancer Slam, but there is Mind Control tech along with the Scale Worm. And yes, Hunter goes wide, but it often reduces its own board side very quickly as soon as it does go wide.
The only reason you wouldn't play the Astromancer here is to ooze the weapon, right? So your turn would be like Scale
ooze.
Worm
Yeah,
ooze.
sorry, yeah. I was just looking for the mana efficiency.
You're not wrong. It does make you feel warm inside when you spend all your mana.
Because my worry is, like, 1, minimum the Astromancer's dead if Viper wants it to be. Unless there's a taunt summoned, right? If so, then
Runs out on me.
then 6 health plus Viper has, you've got to imagine, some level of damage in hand. Then whatever he summons is going to die, is my point.
I mean, we appear to have switched roles here because that's a very pessimistic stance to take.
So, I mean, the average 5-drop is going to die.
6-drop.
Oh, sorry, 6-drop, yeah. I mean, same. Apart from Cairn, do you think?
There's minions with Divine Shield, there's minions with Stegatron, and if like you get a 5 health minion, they still have to have Kill Command and kill command your minion. Like, You're acting like it just commits suicide when it lands on the board.
No, I just mean that with the 4 power plus the 2 from the weapon and then plus, what, 5 Hunter cards? And how this deck is built, I feel like there's always chip for a Divine Shield and there's always enough power.
Make them spend their mana killing your stuff.
Okay. That's how it works out. Oh, so just a small note. Let's discuss Conjur's calling him that legendary minion.
Oh, jeez.
Because guys, in case you want to know, it works.
We've done it.
Yeah, I've done it. Like, we tested this. It does resummon itself as well as the Conjur's call.
Job done.
Here we go, kill command in the weapon swing along with that Hunter's Mark pick. Viper could have picked an animal companion, but did not and chose to go for the Hunter's Mark, and that is cashing it in right now.
Yep.
Has animal companion and some spring paws in hand along with that unleash. But most importantly, this Scale Hide is just doing the work, and it's... I feel like all we've seen with Hunter is Dire Frenzy into draw a Dire Frenzied minion the next turn. Because the first Scale Hide was killed by the Hench Clan, remember?
Interesting. He's going Scale what, double ooze here, maybe? Okay.
I like it.
I preferred the Voodoo Doll Scorcher myself.
What did I say? These Dire Frenzies just shuffle to the top of the deck.
They do.
To my side.
No piggy.
Not even a little teddy bear. Unleash, though. Line up pretty nicely. One hyena away from a good time.
Is he going to generate... I can't imagine he's going to use these unleashes to trade, right? If he's unleashing, he's then also going to play the Spring Paws alongside that to trade with the 3/2s. But then you're not playing the Scale. I don't understand why this unleash would get cast this turn.
Well...
Unless he's playing Unleash and hitting face and then playing the Scale Hide to trade with one of the 3/2s.
Oh, unless he's Unleash, hitting face, hero power in and say, let's go.
All right, now that's a little bit too far, I think.
You need to channel your inner Hunter.
But there aren't many sources of charge left in the game. They're very precious.
And there aren't many...
Those dogs do, and they would consider it an insult if they are used as rush minions.
Most importantly, there isn't much stuff in Viper's hand, which is why I'm thinking, does he just hero power him to death?
Okay.
Aborted.
All right, we're okay, Raven. We're good.
He did hero power, though, I'm just saying.
Yeah, sure did.
I was half right, as always. Never more, never less.
Okay.
Aggressive Alex Straza. This looks a little bit better, maybe.
Voodoo Doll Conjure is calling, or Voodoo Doll Scorcher.
Yeah, I wonder whether they did Voodoo Doll on the Scale Hide and then Scorcher. You have one minion, so this Leok isn't going to get masses of value from, say, an Unleash. And it also sets up the Scorcher to clean trade into the Leok. Or do that. Although I do think you might Conjures again. You don't need the Flame Tongue.
It's on the Flame Tongue, though, surely.
Yep, you don't need it. The 3 damage is enough onto the Scale Hide. Okay!
Oh! That is one large gentleman to the left.
The smallest of eyebrow raises from Hunterace there is like, oh, okay. A 4/7 for 3 mana. Seems good. And now my question to you, Sottle. If these dogs are used at least semi-defensively, then how does Viper actually kill Hunterace apart from 8 turns worth of hero power? He can put 4 to face now, and I think he's committed.
There's an Alex Straza in Hunterace's hand. This is turning south very, very quick. Viper has a board of 1/1s and he's trying to push damage, and Hunterace has a Dragonmaw Scorcher and an Alex Straza in his hand.
Oh, even more so now. He could just play Scorcher with the doll, clean up, and then set up Alex Straza next turn.
Is defensive Alex the safest thing you can do this turn, though?
Define safe.
Not dying next turn.
What to do?
Okay, let's look. Viper's draws.
Zul'jin.
And that's...
Unleash, Animal Companions, and Kill Commands.
Okay. You might have sold me there. Master's Call doesn't quite get it done because he can't draw Unleash from Master's Call to make that like I guess like a Charging Hyena pushes 4. But again, he can't play a lot if he spends 3 mana on Master's Call. So I think it literally is Zul'jin, which is a 1 out of 20 chance. But if he doesn't do that, he just stomps him, right?
Runs out on me.
Yes.
So you may think.
I am. I'm trying to work it all out.
Aggressive Alexstrasza. Kibler somewhere is clapping. The dragon got played, and in the craziest way possible. Spring Paw's the draw. And I don't know about you, Sol. Spring Paw's a good card, but it ain't that good. That is a lethal setup. What a baller. Most importantly, I want to know as the fist pump comes out from Hunterace, Deadly Shot was used. There's only one in the deck. Even the Hunter's Mark spell generation, gone. There was literally Zul'jin, a one singular card.
Second kill command as well, right? He was at 8. There was 2 1/1s still on the board. That's a rough spot to be in.
He's trying to kill him now?
Yeah, apparently. So Hunterace divined the exact opposite route that we did, that he was not favored if the game kept stretching on, that he was not going to win if he defensively Alexstrasa'd himself. He said, you don't have the outs. The math says if I Alexstrasza you in the face, I win more than I lose, and I'm just going to take that right now.
And honestly, like the moment you said it, I'm just thinking about, I said offensive Alexstrasza. It just put a lot of pressure on, your opponent's got 1 draw. The problem is, the longer the game goes on, your opponent has 2 draws, 3 draws, 4 draws. The second they play Zul'jin, I think Hunterace just loses.
But your opponent has 1 draw, and then you hit them for 16-ish damage. Then they have 1 draw, and then you hit them for 16-ish damage, and they're dead.
Yeah, I guess.
It's real close.
The only thing I could think of, for example, is a Master's Call into the Rhino Hyena with an Unleash, draw the second turn.
Both Unleashes are gone.
True. I like the play, so I'm not going to complain too much, but it was definitely interesting.
I think all analysis aside, it was an incredibly brave move, and it was incredibly exciting, and it's led us into a position where Hunterace, the global points leader, the man who, at least for the first 6 months of this year, was being lauded as almost universally the best player in the world, now stands on the precipice of a Hearthstone World Championship to go alongside that.
Yeah, and I agree. Huntrace was talked about for a long time, just the best player. There was no real question. And now, huge downgrade. He's now in what? Top 2? Top 3 arguable best players in the world? Yeah. Oh no!
Yeah.
Like, what a shame. And if he cements this win, he will be undisputably the best Hearthstone player in the world, and maybe the best Hearthstone player we've ever seen, to be completely honest. I don't think anyone's quite done what Hunterace has done if he takes this victory.
Players, the very best players in the world, when last year's HCT points race system was announced, the majority of the very best players in the world said that achieving 3-star Masters was impossible and that no one would do it. Hunterace did it with months to spare.
Yeah.
Months and months to spare.
Incredible. And this kid's not an old-timer like us either, Sol. He's got many years ahead of him.
He does.
He will probably only get better at this point, and it's generally scary but very, very exciting. But Viper isn't going to roll over. Viper has fought very, very hard to get to this point. He is in grand finals of the most prestigious Hearthstone tournament that exists.
And perhaps most importantly, it's Shaman time. And this is kind of where I focused in with at least my concerns for Hunterace's chances of winning this World Championship, because I have some issues with the way the deck is built together. I think the Pyro package...
Ask Hunterace about it.
I think the Pyro package feels a little bit tacked on with not quite enough spells to really support it, which can lead to a very clashy draw sometimes, where you just have anti-synergistic cards sitting alongside each other. But Hunterace has, with a little bit of fortune on his side, it's worth saying, such as 5-mana Hagathas, really scraped his way through a lot of really tough spots with some incredibly intelligent play with this deck.
Yeah, and I think it's a huge story of, I truly believe every single player of this tournament is they had the one deck that was, well, you really need a win with this one because it's going to make the series ropey if not.
And again, it's the nature of just, hey, you have 8 days to submit a lineup after a rotation comes out. No one, it doesn't matter how good you are, it doesn't matter how many people you rope in, how good your practice group is, how many hours between you can put into playing decks, watching streams, researching what's going on everywhere else, running statistical data on stat aggregating website. It doesn't matter. There's no way you're coming up with 4 of the best, most refined decks in the game 8 days after launch.
My worry here is, I say worry, I'm just happy. Whoever wins, fantastic for me as long as the games are good. But if you are Viper, I'm staring at this list of the shamanless Hunterace. The double Wild Pyros you've got questions about, but a Wild Pyro going off once against this Hunter deck's pretty sweet. There's an Earth Shock for a potential Cheeky Hyena. Double Hex. There is 2 Hagatha schemes, which he can save 1 for the Zul'jin turn to just say, nope, you made your big board and now it's gone again, as long as he doesn't die. There's a Ziliax, 2 Giggling Inventors, a Hagatha the Witch, as well as Swamp Queen Hagatha for maybe more healing or AoE, and then 2 Walking Fountains for even more heal, and then a Shudder Walk to top it off and do it all again. We saw the power of Shudder Walk in Hunterace's last series to get into the finals. There's a lot of stuff, and I don't think Viper can play a long game. I think Viper has to kill him and cross his fingers and hope it works. Already, this Omega Defender is just a reasonable question to ask Viper. That has 6 health. Mark Shot is a fantastic card at chunking through these big taunts, but still he has to have it. Then he has to play it, and then he has to do the other 2 damage as well. That's slowing Viper down enough, and the slower the game goes, Hunterace, his only limitation really will be mana in terms of whether he's going to live.
Well, I think there's an assumption you're making here, Raven, which is that Hunterace is the one who wins this game in the late game. Is that always the case? He doesn't have a card in his deck that says, I win the game. They can drag this out for as long as they want, and if they get to the position of stalemate, Viper has Tundra Rhinos and Dire Frenzies. My question is, does this matchup mirror the Control Warrior matchup that we've seen this Hunter deck be so successful in?
The biggest thing for me is the Giggling Inventors, the Hexes, the Earth Shock, and the Shudder Walk. Because, cool, make some big stuff. Enjoy punching through 4 Giggling Inventors.
Yep.
Like, how do you do that efficiently? And then the second Hunterace gets a second scheme, all dead. Doesn't play Death Rattles. It can't come back onto the board. It has to just have more stuff. And that's my worry. And the fact that there is a straight, flat answer to Zul'jin is a big deal in the form of a Hagatha's scheme, if Hunterace can hold on to one.
Yeah.
Because unless the role is unleash against the board with like Huffer, Leok, whatever, then scheme, try again, friend. I'm not an expert at this matchup. I'm not an expert in any matchup at this moment in the metagame. I'm going to be completely honest. I know what I know and that's about it. But there are answers and there's a lot of healing, but I will say Viper, double kill command and a pretty decent sized board. I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm just saying Viper has to do it in 1 punch.
I wonder.
Already 10 damage from hand as long as he sticks a beast. Hunterace only on 22. I might have to think about whether Hex or even Lightning Storm is going to be good enough.
He needs to bridge gaps. He needs to get from here to Giggling Inventor to Walking Fountain to start climbing back into this game.
So then do you think maybe just an early Hex plus maybe even an Earth Shock on the Misha, Hex the 5/3, just so he can play Giggling Inventor the turn after?
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to be overloaded. Because that's why I was talking about, like, the restriction is mana for me. That's the restriction on Hunterace in terms of winning this game. If he gets caught overloaded or just has too much big stuff he needs to do together, Viper kills him. Hunterace head in hands. Every turn. Could be 1 turn closer to him becoming the world champion.
I wonder.
The pressure must be ridiculous, to be
Right
honest.
now, it feels like it's going in the other direction, though. It feels like each passing turn is pushing him further away from being the world champion.
There's a lot of damage in Viper's hand. He can put him to 8 this turn if he wants. He almost certainly shouldn't, because he could just play an Unleash the Beast, kill the 3-2 and push damage. Don't see why not, get it in the pool. He can just play the Shimmerfly as well if he really wants. He can save that for other like cute things like Tundra Rhino, Hyena Shimmerfly. But still, the options are there. He'd go for Marked Shot instead. And that is...
pretty weak options.
2-mana, draw a card. What?
Yeah, it might be.
Ooh. Huh. Was Explosive Shot ever a heads up for the Giggling Inventors? 1 card, remove Divine Shields, kill the 2-1?
I think it's worth thinking about, yeah, but when he has Unleash the Hounds in his hand already, probably not the biggest deal.
No buff, though. So you can pick the shields, but not cleanly kill
yeah,
the one.
but, you know, picking the shields is what Explosive Trap does anyway, right? Like, if you don't have minions to trade through, then it just takes the shields off. If you do have minions to trade through, then taking the shields off and doing the 2 damage is the same thing anyway.
Wait.
There's no way you commit damage.
No.
Okay.
What if you just hero power and he doesn't kill a beast?
I wonder.
And heal?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That you don't commit damage. You don't go for a damage plan because your opponent's just about to walk into their turn 8.
No, that's what I mean. Like, just 1 hero power.
No, it's exactly the same reason. They're going to heal next turn. It's their Walking Fountain turn. You do not push in your plan on saying he's not going to heal.
But is a 2-mana commitment this turn with his hand that big of a deal?
It's passing the board and your opponent plays a Walking Fountain, kills all of your stuff, and you don't have a board or lethal anymore.
We'll see.
I move quickly.
Gonna go for the Deadly Shot, maybe? To open some stuff up. Trade off this one, Deadly Shot, maybe get the Divine Shield. If not, you can still kill it. You got it. Nice. Viper, this is an, I think, insurmountable amount of pressure.
That is an enormous push now from Viper.
And there's still trip kill command.
And the Hex from the previous turn, by the way, we were talking about how, through combination of Hex and Earthshock, there are actually 2 different ways to do it. You mentioned one, and I was about to say, no, wait, you do it this other way, but they both worked. If you use both Hex and Earthshock, you could have cleared out both the board, and there would not be a Taunt Frog hanging around on this board anymore, which can make all the difference for your Walking Fountain turn. As it is, the Earthshock that he has remaining can be put to good use against this Scavenging Hyena, but it's just going to be a Walking Fountain turn.
I want to throw it out there.
From Hunterace.
Ancestral Healing is clutch.
It is.
It's Frog buffing the Hyena.
Just a 12/7 Scavenging Hyena.
Does he?
Oh.
Wait. Does he track for the Deadly Shot? Will that be enough? Tracks 1 to 8. Deadly Shot goes to 5. Hero power.
No, it's 19, right?
1 off, yeah. I just wanted to check because the Deadly Shot that was played was not his natural one.
I wonder.
Was it really? Okay.
He took it off thingy, right?
Okay.
I think.
How many Mark Shots has he played then? Because he must have taken a kill command off Mark Shot as well, and the Flare isn't in his
Wait, maybe it is. I'm so confused right now. It's going to be double kill command. Not going to let Hunterace get any more healing, which is the important. It might look like overkill, but one, he does more damage with the Hyena anyway.
Yeah.
And also, it's just no more healing for you. Hunterace is down to 6. Viper has a kill command and a hero power, which is 5 without a beast. He can do all that anyway because of Tundra Rhino. And Hunterace has to do something magnificent. He can Earthshock Hagatha.
He can Earthshock Walking Fountain. He has multiple phenomenal things he can do this turn.
And then if the second he stabilizes, Shudderwock's going to be a big deal. But then so is Zul'jin.
And there are already 2 kill commands in that Zul'jin, with a 3rd waiting in the wings.
But if you can Shudderwock first, it means that he summons, the extra minions, right?
Giggling Inventors for extra targets, yeah.
Gonna go for the Hagatha, puts him to 11. So there's what? There's 7 right now with just Tundra Rhino, kill command, hero power. Oh, yeah, Deadly Shot.
9.
Yeah, he did. Oh, Shimmerfly.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, I knew it was something. And there's the big Rhino. Dire Frenzy is going to be used. It's a similar amount of damage, or close-ish, to the kill command, but most importantly, front-loads damage now, kill command for later.
How big is this second Walking Fountain? Such a huge heal for him.
Oh, should he have ever played the Pyromancer first?
No.
Purely for Ancestral Spirit, or the Ancestral Healing?
Well, he can still use that now if he gets it off.
Yeah, so I mean, play the Pyro because you might draw a higher cost spell that does something.
No, you're playing the Fountain this turn because you want to heal. If you don't heal, you're just dead to burst from hand. So you play the card that you're definitely going to play first. You might pick up a double spell, a 2-mana spell like Ancestral Spirit or Earthen Might, which is better to use on your Walking Fountain than playing the Pyromancer.
I guess, yeah. There's like Witch's Brew, and then you could Hex it, for example, maybe. But yeah, okay. Viper now. Is Viper just staring at Hunterace? Yeah, he is. He's literally just staring at Hunterace.
Hunterace is glancing back at him sideways, but he's definitely not meeting the eyes.
I think Viper's just thinking, wait, what does he have here? What's worst case scenario? Are you giving any tells to think you ready for this? You know.
Yep.
Not going with Zul'jin yet. Locking in and Unleash the Beast and Animal Companion. It does clear off the Pyromancer, but most importantly, puts those 2 spells in the tank. And now the Rain of Frogs, Feral Spirit, all of this can help him a lot. But the worry is, like I said earlier, mana restrictions. How much can he overload? And also, these are spells, so they will not hit the board and generate him more spells that might be Witch's Brew to help with heal.
Such a scary spot for Hunterace, and you can see it. He leant towards the Rain of Toads, caused himself to take a moment.
He's going to go in.
This is a huge overload commitment. Rain of Toads and Feral Spirit. Viper picks up the buff Tundra Rhino. And this is going to put my theory to the test of who actually wins this when it comes down to the late game. Because Viper still has so much gas ready to go.
Pop in the Zul'jin.
Boy.
Let's see the fireworks. Bear in mind, he left the Leok because he wants it to do something, but that looks like a dead Leok to me, right?
Woo!
Huff, huff. That's going to be all. Oh no, sorry, 1 Huff is dead. 1 dog's dead.
The Leok's dead. That is huge for the
we knew that
Unleash the
straight
Hounds.
away.
Yeah, I was just waiting to see it happen.
Oh, yep. Dire Frenzy on the doggo. There's 3 hounds. Hand is full though, so he is going to burn a card on draw. And if we know anything about Dire Frenzy, wow, nothing hit face there. But he did manage to clear up the board, and here we go, it's the overload, the mana restrictions.
Yeah, remember, Hunterace just can't do anything in response to this, really. Ziliax being picked up off the top is about as good as it gets.
Pyromancer Lightning Storm would have done it as well.
Sure.
Maybe not as nicely as the Ziliax pick, of course, but it would have done it.
I think the problem with that Hunterace sees as well is that he then can't Shadow Walk the turn after, which he's probably going to need to do sooner rather than later in this position.
Side benefit of the Zul'jin as well is the hero power can now be aimed, which means he doesn't have to give Hunterace any extra healing.
And hold on a second. Charging Scavenging Hyena here.
How is he trading off minions though?
Springpaw.
Into what? If he trades into Ziliax, it heals some more, then it's going to buff the Hyena.
I mean, it might not be lethal, but it's an enormous Scavenging Hyena that still gets to connect.
That's true. So he gains what, a net 1 health? Hunterace does? Because the trade gains him 3, and the Hyena gets buffed if you lose 1 minion plus 2. I don't know though. I wonder if you can just do something else. Can you just play a 5/5, hero power the 3/2, push for 5, and then do that next turn?
He can. It's definitely an option.
Play a 5/8 that can charge. That's actually way better.
Right.
It's putting him to 1, right? It's putting him to 1. And now, yet again, I don't think Hunterace can do the amount of things he needs to do with 10 mana. even if he had the best draws in the game.
Yeah, and it's a very smart play from Viper because the one thing it does do is shut down the Shudderwock. Shudderwock was not going to find Hunterace healing there, so that was the big counterpunch that he had available to him. And now Hunterace just has to go digging into the Witch's Brew, trying to find some miracle answers to this board state, and I'm afraid they don't exist.
Yeah. Healing Rain is not a card anymore, guys, and that is it. Viper is going to even this series up, and Sol, I wouldn't have it any other way. We're going to be going to a Game 5 for the Grand Finals here at the Hearthstone World Championship. Viper fights back.
And look at the Game 5 that it's coming down to. There's 2 decks remaining. It's the 2 decks that I pointed out right at the start could be the problematic ones to win with for respective players. And it also opens up the possibility, after us talking about it so much this week, one game for Rafarm to redeem itself in this tournament.
Yeah, if there's ever a time, doesn't get any better or more intense than this. Guys, we're going to give you a minute. Go and grab a drink. Do anything you need to do because you are not allowed to blink in this next game. We're going to be right back with the final game of the Hearthstone World Championship.
Well met, friend. Ooh.
Let's get this over with.
I win!
Oh, what an amazing game! Oh, well played!
Here's to the winner.
The long and winding road of the HCT circuit ends here at the World Championship. We are game number 5 between Hunterace and Viper, our finalists. And it's all going to come down to this. Everything on the line. The World Champion title is going to be given to one of these players, and it's down to Hunterace's Shaman and Viper's Zoo Warlock.
And before we get into it, I do want to give one final shout out to our crowd. They can't hear me right now. We're not being piped to the house because primarily they wouldn't understand a word we're saying. But there was a little worry, at least on my part, that when all the home country players dropped out before this final day, that the audience would be a little bit flat, a little bit less invested in what was going on. But I'm sure you guys have heard some of the reactions coming through our microphones. They have been fully into this and made this, played as much of a part as anyone into making this final feel as special as it has been.
With the Hearthstone we've seen, 1 for the last 4 days and 2 especially in this match, you would have to have a heart of stone to not be, involved and invested in this. And here we go.
It's in the opening hand. And this matchup on this stage, Control Shaman, Rafarm opening hand, this might be best case scenario for this build of the deck. Because Rafarm, if you look at it statistically, has an immensely high win rate when it's kept in the mulligan or when it's drawn in the mulligan. And there's an explanation for that. Shout out to Rebecca on Twitter who put this into words that I was looking for. When you have Rafarm in your opening hand, you can plan for it long term. You can keep resources in hand and you can make that Rafarm as powerful as possible when you play it on turn 7 by making sure you then immediately have access to a bunch of powerful legendaries.
He's putting his money where his mouth is. He kept the Rafarm.
This matchup as well, this is a very slow control deck that relies on exhausting all your resources, and it does not have infinite value, not in the sense that Dr. Boom has. Hagatha is a value engine, but it is not as oppressive as Dr. Boom is. So this is an infinite value engine that can be beat by a stream of endless legendaries. This scenario right now, in Game 5 of the World Championship Final, is the best case scenario for Archvillain Rafarm.
Let's see what it can do, and I am very interested because how do you even play this? How many cards do you hold? How slow do you go? How much do you life tap? Viper is here to teach us one way or the other, because we're going to find out. There has to be a winner. Hunterace answering this Argent Squire with an ooze. The rest of his hand not looking so fancy as far as I'm concerned, Sol.
Hunterace not really with a lot to go on either, just full air in his hand. Double Ancestral Healing, one of the most controversial cards, I'd say, to be running main deck in your Shaman in this tournament.
I like it. I'm a personal fan of that card at the moment.
Okay.
Abusive Sergeant is going to be used to proc this Sergeant Squire's attack and be able to kill off this ooze, and most importantly is a juicy target for this coin into Evil Genius. Hunterace, bit of a shrug. He's going, okay, well, you got me. You're doing the zoo things. Can I answer them? And these next few draws are going to be big. Hagatha's scheme, obviously not playable yet, but by the time he gets to turn 5, might just have enough damage to clear the board.
If you were going to draw an unplayable card, that was the one to draw. Hunterace just A, planning his future turns, B, representing to Viper that he might have something to do in his hand. Bluff the fact that you're debating a small Pyromancer clear here. Bluff the fact that you're debating just dropping an Acidic Swamp Ooze into this board. Not much of a bluff. You'd probably just do that anyway. But there are things that you have to represent, so Viper doesn't have the full knowledge that you just have nothing to do right now.
It's a tough one. Outside of Totem Up Ancestral Healing, there is literally nothing to do. But Hunterace is going in the tank. I'm taking deep breaths myself, Sol. I'm not going to lie. I'm just watching these players is making me nervous, and I'm not even on the stage. Hovering some cards. Might end up with just a totem. There we go. Mainly, he wants Viper to think. The more he's thinking about other stuff, the less he's thinking about some other stuff.
That's
all
it was.
Split attention. Now the Lackey's, just as a side note, Goblin Lackey is the +1 attack and rush, and Witchy Lackey is effectively an evolve, a +1 evolve.
But now, does any of that pay off for Hunterace? Representing that he might be thinking about Pyromancer, representing that he might be thinking about Lightning Storm, whatever other nonsense idea that he's trying to get into Viper's head. I think it's a little transparent. Viper should just be able to play his game here. But remember, he does also have to consider how much attention he wants to pay to that late game plan of Arc-Villain Rafam.
Yeah. What is his plan? Like, that's the problem, isn't it? Like, I actually just don't know how much he's supposed to even play. He's just played 2 more minions. Yes, he has live tap.
Yeah.
But we've also seen Rafam played in a position where there weren't that many cards left in the deck.
Right.
Which means you don't have tons of value, because it's like, okay, 5 random legendaries on average are quite bad.
Right.
And I have no answers to these questions. Second scheme means that there's a backup clear, but second scheme also means there's a whole lot of nothing to do yet again for Hunterace. I will say there was no truly explosive start from Viper. There was no, unanswerable flame imp that's hit for 6 or 7 so far. It's slow in zoo terms, I'll say, but it is starting to heat up a little bit now with this knife juggler representing just a good chunk of damage.
And are we just going through the same song and dance again with Hunterace? Waiting for the rope. There are some more considerations this turn, both in cards that he could be representing that he's thinking about playing, but also in terms of legitimate concerns like, do I hex this knife juggler? Which is a real question.
Yep. Most importantly, though, I think Hunterace might be doing just anything he can to just stress Viper out.
He says no.
And it's also a weird backwards thing as well. The more my opponents pass as a control deck, the more I'm like, oh, I need to finish this game because they clearly have the late game stuff in hand, which, is not necessarily the correct way to think because you can be thrown off mentally by that. But it's something you have to think, right? If he's doing nothing, he's just played the news and passed every turn, then what the heck's in his hand? Because is that enough? Because Hunterace has passed? You just put a 1-1 in and go face and say, okay.
I mean, it seems just like a nice balance, right? Like Hunterace has to scheme a board like that anyway, and by life tapping and playing minimal cards, he is setting himself up for that plan B of the Arch-Villain Rafam. It's just kind of a win-win situation for Viper right now.
I feel like it's just enough damage. Yeah. Test the juggle. Misses. Probably chucks the lackey in.
Yeah, I think hitting that juggle makes Viper's decision a lot easier this turn. If he hits that juggle, he gets to keep all of these minions and go face with them all. That is plenty to be in play.
He paid 1 abusive sergeant for that. It really is not a big investment. Okay, 2-4 from the Evolve. And Viper committing a little bit more than I thought he would based on the Rafam keep. But I'll admit, this is not a playstyle I'm familiar with. So is he going to play the lesser scheme? 2 damage, clears the threats on the board, leaves a 2-2 up, and has a much bigger scheme to be able to just guarantee a clear later on due to any grim rallies, for example. Again, maybe hero power carpet to see what's cooking. I don't know. He might just want to dump his hand before Rafam and say, I'll draw 1 to 2 legendaries a turn.
Looks like it.
He's pressuring Hunterace down to half health now.
Yep.
He's edge. Ooh. Oh. One more time. Oh. Okay. And is there only really one bad pull? Because funnily enough, wait, I should know this. Does the mech crew have rush if you steal it? Because the carpet?
It should do, yes.
Right, I'm not going crazy,
Once
right?
you give a minion rush, it has rush.
Right,
It does not.
because it wasn't rush for this turn, is it? It just says give rush. Okay, well, there's some really good targets then. He gets the Mecharoo.
Yeah,
There's the trade into the flame. Viper's head goes down. And I'm just going to keep asking questions here. It's the best I've got. But with Rafam kept, did he need to go 4 minions wide? 2 of which have rush, and 1 of them's a carpet. I don't know, but did he?
It's a great question. I mean, it's hard to argue with. You've gone in once, you've seen the scheme, you've got your opponent down to 15. Like, every fiber of the fact that you're playing an aggro deck says, my opponent has just used their best board clear and is at half of their health total. I'm going to push my chips in and try to kill them. That is just kind of the aggro philosophy.
Yeah, and let's be real here, Rafam or not, we are striding towards crowning a winner because
we are.
It is soon. I feel it right now. It's going to happen very, very soon. But the decision making here, one more time. Does he save cards for Rafam? Because I honestly believe playing Rafam with an empty hand and then drawing a legendary and then having to maybe tap into another one, which you probably then can't play, is rough. Or it's low impact.
It's very slow.
It's so bad. I think you do need a choice of legendaries to get the highest chance of something good. Viper's going in though. He's saying, you know what? You just did 2 powerful anti-aggro things. Please don't have a third. But we can see Scheme or Giggling Inventor are great choices here. And now there's the Brew. Hex for the Rafam as well next turn if he wants.
I can present an additional theory here, which is Viper has not wanted to sit back and life tap too much because he doesn't want to push himself too close to fatigue. Whereas with Rafam and drawing 1 per turn, he does feel like he outvalues the Shaman over the long term because, again, it's not like there's Dr. Boom, Omega Devastators and so on. And he is playing the even longer game by not life tapping and filling up his hand for the immediacy of a strong Rafam that hits a handful of cards.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's true.
Just a theory.
Yeah, I mean, it's all we can work on. Because again, I've not tried exactly this playstyle versus exactly this deck.
It's a theory, but it's not one that I'm really sold on. I think what's actually happening is that Viper has smelled blood and just tried to kill his opponent after his opponent had a very, very weak start.
Another absolutely reasonable conclusion. And now, solved. It's now or never. Arch Villain Rafam.
Okay!
He kept it in his hand. It's on 7. Subject 9. Mediocre. Nat Pagel. Very arguably mediocre to bad. It does not kill Hunterace. And also, if you're talking about the fatigue, then it's a bad card because he won't want to draw extra. Or will he, if he wants to power him down with legendaries? I honestly don't know.
One way or another, Rafam is deciding this championship.
Hex into Omega. Easily playable. Removes the Rafam threat and then basically says, Hunterace basically saying to Viper, okay, how good is your average legendary, friend?
Yep.
Because we're about to find out.
And I would argue the answer to that is not good.
Let's see. Katrina. Okay, that's a good one.
Care to dance with death?
Okay, well, there's a lot of small minions, but there is a Rafam. Okay, a 1-3.
Try crystal.
He's just seen the Hex. And I believe that 6-8 is not dying anytime soon.
Certainly looks that way. There is going to be a big old procession of Zoo minions coming out from that thing over the next few turns.
Does he have to go for Swamp Queen? He is?
I think so.
He needs something big next turn.
Yep.
He can pair it with Ancestral Healing. He can play Ancestral Healing next turn. Let's see what he gets. Voltaic Burst looks the best to me, but there is Elemental Reaction if he wants to draw.
Yeah, I think
Rain of Toads
is the option.
Or Storm. Sign me up.
Rain of Toads. Draw a card, Rain of Toads, I think is what he will have picked, and yes, it is.
I like it. Does he taunt up the Hagatha? How scared are you?
Yeah, I think you're fine.
Okay.
You're asking for your opponent to have some kind of legendary that leverages from hand and kills this 2-6 to allow the 6-8 to do anything truly scary.
It's a big ask.
I think, if anything, taunting up the 5-5 gives Viper a better attack by just killing the 5-5 with the 6-8 as opposed to the 2-6.
Yeah, I was just thinking because of potential Lightning Storm next turn. Maybe you're okay with that, but maybe you can do that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that just moves the ball from your court to your opponent's court, right, by taunting it up.
Taunt Totem, definitely not bad. Solves that problem in my book.
No words.
Nope.
Azalina, as if the game was not already ridiculous enough.
I can wait to finish all.
Let's see what I have to play around. Azalina Soul Thief. Viper, first things first, he checks the horror. Realizes that Hunterace has a very powerful tempo turn, and look at Casper's face.
I don't even know how to respond. Not only does Viper fill his hand with cards that actually do something, he also has now full information -1 card of this draw as exactly what's in Hunterace's hand. That is a fantastic draw.
Even Viper, one of the most stoic Hearthstone players I've ever seen in my life, cracked a smile when that frog appeared.
I will tell you now, this grand final and this game has not disappointed in any way, and it's not even over yet. The walking fountain, I guess Hunterace is just thanking something that the walking fountain wasn't already in his hand too, because that would be truly grim.
Viper also solves the mystery of what on earth was going on with Hunterace's early game. He had double ancestral healing in his hand. Okay, that makes sense.
Now Viper gets his own rain of toads. It's a frog off.
And that's what's kind of scary to me in this scenario, is that if Hunterace doesn't play his big tempo card first here, Viper has the option to do it before him and really push him onto the back foot.
He does have walking fountain, which farms some of the toads. Yeah, this is a big turn.
There we go, I like this.
And, you know, Viper's not going to roll spell damage because he's a warlock.
Yeah.
The Froggy Boys jump down. Even the healing totem getting a little bit of value. And there's Grifter. Discover 2 cards. Give 1 to your opponent, 1 to yourself at random.
Yep.
Crazy card, not the best constructed card in the world. But again, Viper could play it.
And in case that's confusing anyone, you see 3 cards, you pick one. You see 3 cards again, you pick one. The game then decides which of those 2 cards you pick go to you or your opponent.
Viper's hand actually just isn't that good.
I mean, the Azalina is so, like, I can't emphasize enough how big that Azalina is, because it gives Viper's reformed deck something to do that isn't just playing an idiot every turn.
Guys, we're getting Grifter in the deciding game of the World Championship. Okay, what does Viper pick? Because these decisions get hard. Do you want to give Hunterace a good minion?
What is my life right now? What even is Hearthstone?
The problem with Grifter is you hand over a lot of the time the tempo to your opponent because you give them a minion or something with full mana. You have to spend mana playing Grifter. So you lose a certain amount of tempo. Let's see what the picks were. Stranglethorn and Gurubashi Berserker. So he just picked 2 5-drops, 2 decent cards?
I guess.
Hogger. Frogger. And now we're just going to see what happens, because this game has evolved into a true mess in the best of ways. Hunterace has to just be careful here. He is overloaded.
Overloaded enormously.
Yeah, only on 5 mana. He needs to make this 5 mana work very nicely for him, and I believe that's going to include hexing a 5/5 to keep his frogs alive.
Oh, in a deck full of legendaries, that's terrifying though. Hex a 5/5 and all manner of things can be in those remaining 13 cards.
That's true, but I think you need to make some strides. I don't think he can have a lackluster turn.
I mean, the big problem is that he can't play many of his other cards because the way this board is pared down, he can't kill off any of his own minions to be able to play, for example, Ziliax.
He's got to take double heal. That healing totem doing work. It keeps the Drustvar Horror alive because Lightning Storm cannot be spell damaged yet. Yes, there are cards that may change that, but yet. This Lightning Storm will not kill this 5/3 off as it does become a 5/4, similar to potential low rolls as well on some of the frogs. Glass Knight, not bad at all, and an Archmage Vargoth Lightning Storm. Sign me up, Soddle, because that will do it. I know it, you know it, Viper knows it, and let's be honest, if you can hear that, the crowd definitely know it.
Vargoth Lightning Storm. He's a Warlock, and he's casting Vargoth Lightning Storm this turn, Raven.
It's not fair, Sol. Viper, though, this is huge. And Hunterace's face, just watch the face of a man who's about to get wrecked.
If Viper even plays it, he bails out.
He doesn't know because of the overload.
So many possibilities.
But I don't think you can just leave stuff up. I think it's too much of a swing. Look at the damage he push.
Almost out of time.
He kills off the 5/2. He can trade in and still push for 5 and not worry about that 5/2. Or do you think he passes? I think he pushes 5 damage. Oh, he passes. Okay. Hunterace can't believe it. Now he has to keep his composure. There's a mic.
Every draw.
Woo!
Every draw is like a boxer in a Rocky movie just throwing another enormous right hand at his opponent.
The only difference is it's a modern one, so of course the film is 3 hours long. There's the steal on the 5-5. Looks good to me. Yes, Vargoth might have been flashier, but there weren't spells that really benefited at this point. And now the low-cost turn here. 6.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, there's the spell damage.
Was Viper the chosen one all along? Was Rafarm the chosen one all along?
The redemption story of Rafarm and Sottle. Is he going to have the last laugh? The big deal here is 6 mana. The heavy overload from the double lightning storm means that Viper has less mana to play with. That is the air quote punish for having that amazing turn last turn.
It's starting to matter less and less because Hunterace's deck does not have the tools to beat this level of gas.
Did Vargoth just summon a 2-2? No, he did not. It just looked funny with the animations. Hunterace now does have the walking fountain and a reheal to start chipping away at this board. He does have minions that feel more impactful trade-wise available to him.
Yep.
That is a bonus. That is something he has to keep in mind, and he has to keep his calm. There is, frankly, silly things happening right now in this game of Hearthstone. That's basically the most important game of Hearthstone these two players will ever play in their lives, almost certainly. But he has to keep his cool. What is the best play? How can he progress in this game? And I think making just use of this board he has is extremely important. And Hunterace saying a fond farewell to this Vargoth and saying, no more, friend, no more. Cancel off the Nat Piggle if he wants, but does he want? Can just Ancestral Heal and call that a day.
I think Hunterace has to establish himself as the aggressor here.
Yeah. Like I said, he has the minions that can trade, right?
Yeah.
On Dasta.
There's a Stranglethorn Tiger in his hand.
It will summon a
There's
tiger.
a freaking Stranglethorn Tiger in his hand, Raven, that he picked from a grifter.
That he might not have got.
He's playing Zoo.
Why do we even need notes? You can't prepare for this. There we go. This, that you may have heard, is Sol ripping up Viper's Zoo list. We don't need Zoo cards anymore. We've got every card in Hearthstone. Hunterace just cannot believe it. He is receiving mental blow to mental blow. Farsight now. It's going to be able to dig him a little bit deeper and maybe get what I feel now is a trademark Hagatha pull from this Farsight.
I feel like he needed Hagatha several turns ago. I feel like all of these minions that are in play right now needed to generate value for him if he was going to keep up with this from Viper.
Unity, precision, perfection.
Nice little extra impact there with that Annoyatron sticking to the board. Means now that's a 4-4 rush with the lifesteal, and the Divine Shield's going to make it stick around. Risa, whatever. Sorry, you're a decent card.
It feels like,
but it doesn't matter.
It feels like the first draw in the last 6 or 7 that hasn't just felt like a giant punch to the face.
Except he can play it with Risa, Windrunner. He does gain a weapon. And maybe he wants the spell damage for the sick Calighost.
Yeah.
Now the Viper, if he's hovering this Giggling Inventor, he feels under threat, and kind of so he should.
He absolutely is under threat. Yep. There's a lot of damage being represented on the board.
I'll say the good thing for Hunterace now is he's seen most of the Azalina cards, right?
Yep.
So now he's back to almost, well, he's got random legendaries. Let's see what this Farsight's going to be, though.
6 mana Shudder Walk.
Okay. That is a high value minion right now. Does he want to play it before Hagatha? Because he's the aggressor with the minion focus? He doesn't want to deal 3 to his own board?
It's possible, but he does have the Twilight Drake in his hand, which does make it better on the following turn anyway. But I like your thinking. It's a very, very good Shudderwock right now.
He gets a Drusvar again.
He gets a Drusvar again, and he casts the battle cry of the one that he's already played again.
Mind control tech.
Mind control tech. Giggling Inventors. And is this Gurabashi Berserker that Viper gave to Hunterace going to be a potentially game-winning card?
Why are we saying this in the last game of a World Championship?
Because this is our lives now, Raven. This is what we do.
Now there's a Houndmaster Shaw. It means Glass Knight can attack in the same turn it's played.
With Witch's Brew. Synergy.
It took me a minute to realize. Why are we casting Hunter, Paladin, Mage, Shaman cards in Zoo?
One last time for old sake. It's pronounced Shaman.
Oh, no.
Come on!
Take the Shudderwock!
Game now, you're just being silly.
My pack will hunt you down.
5-1 going into a 5-6 removes a huge amount of the problem for Viper. 4 minions in play, though. And Viper is going to value trade. The mind control tech in this Shudderwock is live.
Sign Hunterace up for one Shudderwock, please.
It's got to be the walk.
Yeah, it's not getting any better, right? Yes, you kill 2 minions. You can kill off the Shaw, you can kill off the 1-2, leave 2 4-attack minions on board. The Walking Fountain, whether you heal it or not, is dead if you do that, if that is the play. Hex, you've got to say, has limited impact right now. Farsight, if it draws Hagatha, like I said, I don't think that's good enough. Hunterace is hovering the walk. He's got a Farsight. Farsight, he's still very ahead in fatigue. With 2 cards now. That was a 4-mana Giggling Inventor. He can still walk, but now he might gig first to go wider. He doesn't. He goes now, and you know what? Let's just see what's going to happen.
There's the big health. He does, even though the Omega Defender didn't activate the first time around, it does still just recheck again.
Woo!
And look at all this value. Look at all this board pressure.
That walk has just opened up lethal as 16 attack and 16 health. Means Viper has to be a little bit worried. High Priestess Jetlick means that it's going to be a taunt with lifesteal along with Witch's Brew. Means that there's a chance. But there is frankly 1 million attacks on the board for Hunterace now.
Remember, everything has rush.
Oh, Viper is putting his tournament life on the line with a Caligos. That doesn't look good to me. The best he can do is a Witch's Brew, and isn't he just dead?
He has 0 mana destroy a minion.
Demon Ball,
he has 0 mana destroy a minion, Raven.
I'm an idiot. Oh, I can't take much more of this, Sol. Where's the Saronite Chain Gang? Because I don't know how much longer this can go on.
Sometime. Viper has a Witch's Brew in hand, which shuts down any kind of aggressive push from Hunterace.
What does the Drusvar do?
It's a great question.
Can we get a Drusvar check? Feral Spirit, Totemic Smash, fairly minimal. It is more minions.
Not bad. Feral Spirit is good. You take that. Off a random Drusvar, you take that.
And remember, the Totemic Smash is aimable. It is not just like throw it out there Zul'jin style.
Right.
You can aim that 2 damage, which might end up being clutch.
Right. This Caligos has to go, right?
Why?
It's a 4/12. Is there going to be a bigger thing to Hex in those remaining 4 cards?
It is only dealing 4 a turn with 1 attack, Sol. I don't think it does.
Okay.
There are no spells outside of 1 Witch's Brew. Nat Pagel.
That is air. 100% pure air. That will disappear into the ether when Azalina is played as potentially the last card of the game for Viper.
Now, does Viper have to make a gamble, Azalina, and hope there is a spell that he can cast for free to save him?
Witch's Brew. He already has it.
Next turn, then. goes up to full, but I mean, he can use it all, the whole Witch's Brew this turn, but can he afford to?
Does he have any other options?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why it's just a very slow turn.
Sorry, just look at this Glass Knight just chilling. It's, oh, another Divine Shield. Oh, another Divine Shield.
He is going to stop and drop the Jet Click, which I do agree with. I think he needed to do something else this turn. So that's 2 mana. He's only got 3 cards left, so I can't see the Pagel getting anything done here. He may as well Witch's Brew.
But is it on a minion or his own face?
I think Houndmaster, sure. I see a lot of 4 attacks there, Sol.
Going to the face.
Okay. Well, look, we're stomping towards the end here. There's still no Hagatha drawn.
That's outrageous. Hunterace is staying relatively toe-to-toe here without even having access to his Hagatha.
Turns out Shudderwock's hell of a card.
And Viper has a chance of stealing the Hagatha for himself if he can time the Azalina.
But he's got no minions left. Like, kill off this Glass Knight once and for all after the Frank taunts with this this Divine Shield that keeps proccing no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, that Glass Knight gained like 6 Divine Shields last turn, but it doesn't quite work that way.
Nope. Again, Hunterace on full health and slightly ahead on fatigue. But you've got to say, he just has more access to heal potential than Viper does because of the Hagatha coming down eventually. I think Hunterace is too far ahead, Sol. Outside of a Deathwing, in which there's I'm staring at a Hex. That might be what Hunterace is saving the Hex for, you know. Literally a Deathwing.
You might be right.
What 1 card beats him now? Deathwing off the top, slam it game.
Does this 3-2 change the equation more than a random Hagatha card later?
Nosdormu, that doesn't look good enough to me.
All right, here's the standard of how ridiculous this game is. Nosdormu was drawn and you could hear a pin drop in this arena. No one cares about Nosdormu. That is the standard we've set.
This is it, Azalina for a dream. And there's the 0 mana Hex because Kalikos is still on the board, but Sottle, is it enough?
Pyromancer as well. That's kind of the business right now.
My lord.
Second Azalina after the Reform as well. Still no Hagatha for Hunterace.
Drustvar Horror looks good to me. Totemic Smash can clear off one of these minions. Even gain a totem, which I think any minion is good right now.
Yep.
And maybe he just pushes.
It's coming back right at him, though. He knows. He knows the very same thing is coming back. This is now quickly becoming a fairly solvable situation on both sides.
Surely he wants to go first, though, right?
Oh, for sure. It's just when I say that, I'm saying he's considering, do I play Pyros with it? Do I play 1 Pyro with it, 2 Pyros with it? What am I going to do to leverage my 2-3s against his 2-3s next turn?
Is this going to be double Pyro? Oh, he's going for the Horror, right? Going for the Horror on the Pyro. Viper literally has no spells left in the deck unless some legendaries, or his last 2 legendaries generate them.
Yeah.
And I think Hunterace might just be 1 step ahead because Totemic Smash does not deal with this board.
He chooses to not overkill as opposed to overkill, though, which is kind of interesting in that scenario. Gruul.
The Dragon Killer, I believe, is the full title, not official. Nelson, of course, but still. That's a big minion, but is 1 big minion enough? There's only 1 more draw left, and unless that Gruul is played and hexed, and the next draw is Deathwing, I think that's going to be it. But we've said that about 50 times this series, so quite likely to be wrong. And you are right, though. Hagatha, bottom 3 as hero form. He has played Swamp Queen, but not Hagatha the Witch. That would have... Hunterace's hand would be full right now.
He's kept up. He's somehow he's kept up.
His hand will be full. And Viper's Azalina twice.
Yes. For what? 4 cards and somewhere in the region of 5?
I think
wasn't the first one bigger? I thought the first one was significantly bigger.
Six,
yeah.
I think. Here we go, though. Viper's just saying, I've got to do this and hope it's enough. I can play the Wild Pyromancer.
That's all he's got.
And now he's slightly ahead on board. He's only overloaded for 2, which means Gruul can be played next turn.
He now has this board, plus a Gruul, plus 1 random legendary minion remaining. That random legendary minion can be another Azalina, and then we're back to square one again. It can be all manner of things. It can be a Jan'alai.
It can. The big question is this Hex. And Hunterace would probably love to save minions for Hagatha, but he cannot fall behind his Blood Mage down us! That is terrible! There are better non-legendary 2-drops at the moment in time.
And that is game.
I don't know how he fishes himself out.
I'm looking at our answers on Hunterace's board and in Hunterace's hand for everything that he needs to answer. The board pairs down evenly right now. There's a Hex for Gruul. Blood Mage is irrelevant.
Blood Mage gets him to death quicker because of the fatigue. And without even I think a drawing Hagatha would win him this game. Purely in fatigue at this point. Gruul has to be played. Viper's got no choice. And as you said, the board is even. But Viper knows there's a Hex. He knows. He hexed from the Azalina. He knows he's there. He knows Gruul's dead. And was that Swamp Queen?
That is Hagatha.
Sorry, not Swamp Queen.
Just the Hagatha.
The Witch. Apologies.
The game's over.
But still, that looks like game to me.
It doesn't really matter. Hex this and take the damage from the 5-3 this turn, or play the Hagatha this turn and take the damage from the Gruul.
I think it's because he wants worst case. He wants like Pyro Hex, right?
Yeah. Worst case, best case scenario, he can kill this 8-5 without using a Hex, and then he beats Deathwing as the last card as well.
He can kill it now with Totemic Might.
Beautiful.
To clean it up, Beautiful. And I believe...
Even in a completely solved game, Hunterace finds a way to maximize his chances. And after beating a seemingly unbeatable Rafarm, everything came together for that deck in the situation we've been talking about all week. And Hunterace, without even access to his value generator, beats it out and becomes your new Hearthstone World Champion.
恭喜我们的 Hunterace 成为呢我们的2019龙狮战绩 HCT 世界总冠军。哇，最后呢以这神之右手解开了世界上最焦灼的战局，不止成为了运气最好，也成为了世界上最强的男人。现在心情怎么样呢？我们邀请 Forden 为我们来做赛后访问。Here's Forden for the winning interview.
Hunterace, that was an incredible finish to the World Championship. Please tell me, what is going through your mind this very moment?
刚刚这比赛实在太疯狂了，恭喜你获得世界冠军，可以跟大家分享一下你现在的心情吗
I don't know, it's pretty unbelievable. Like that last game was like super tense. It's been like such a long journey to get here, and like actually delivering now that I'm in the tournament and winning the tournament is so big for me. Like it means so much. I'm incredibly grateful. I don't know that. Oof.
刚刚这比赛真的是非常的紧张，然后对我来讲，我也是专注了很久。这个冠军对我来讲意义非常的重大。
What was the hardest obstacle to overcome in order to become the world champion?
像一路走来你都很辛苦，你可以跟大家分享一下你目前一路走来遇到最困难、最难克服的事情吗？
I don't know, man. This entire tournament has been super hard for me. Like, there's been a lot of situations that I maybe could look back on and like tell like super close decisions and such. But I don't know. I really just want to thank everyone that has been helping me throughout the preparation period, because I felt like that was the most crucial part of this tournament, because it was right after rotation and it was such a big deal what lineup you ended up bringing. And also I want to like give a huge thanks to like everyone in the Hearthstone community. Everyone has been so supporting, and it's really incredible.
我非常这一路打下来，非常多的困难，有很多很难的决定，然后有很多非常优秀的对手。那我可以一一的跟他们交手，然后做出最正确的决定，然后让我一路走到这边，我觉得很荣幸。
All right, my last question, Hunterace. You were the points leader. You were the promised one. You were the one that people were betting on packs. How does it feel to live up to the hype as the Wonder Boy of Hearthstone?
I don't know. It feels incredible. It's really amazing. Like, I can't really describe it. Like, it hasn't really gotten through me yet. I'm just like thinking of all that random legendaries and everything is just going through my head. Like, it's amazing. Oof. Yeah. Oof. Wow. Oh.
他刚刚问他说，你在这几年的表现都非常的好，去年又拿到3星大师，又是全球分数最高的选手，那现在呢又拿到了世界冠军，证明你人中之龙的地位。那你这一路你现在的感觉是怎么样？然后 Hunterace 说，我觉得这一路走来非常不容易，那我非常感动，然后我也很荣幸我可以拿到这个世界冠军。
好的，让我们再次恭喜我们的 Hunterace! Congratulations! You are the winner of 2019 HCT World Champions! Okay, and we're going to present the trophy. Let's welcome the Senior Global Franchise Lead of Hearthstone Esports, Sam Braithwaite, and your 2017 HCT World Champion, Tom 60229. 掌声欢迎我们大哥以及我们的 Sam， 我们来进行颁奖。Please present the trophy to Hunterace! Congratulations! 再次热烈掌声给我们的 Hunterace， 也给我们所有的选手以及我们所辛苦的赛评以及我们的主播们。好的，非常非常的感谢。那我们也请 Ford 最后帮我们来总结一下我们的 HCT。
It's been a wonderful journey throughout the past few years of the Hearthstone Championship Tour, where stars were made and dreams came true. And with our world champion, with all of the Grandmasters, everybody here from Blizzards and the talent, thank you for watching. And to the future of Hearthstone, we say thanks for watching and well played.
好了，再次给我们 Hunterace 以及我们所有的选手、主播、赛评还有辛苦工作人员一个热烈的掌声，也谢谢我们所有现场以及线上所有观众朋友们热情的参与，也请大家呢可以去支持我们接下来炉石战绩的大师系列赛，恭喜，也谢谢大家。Thank you for joining with us. Hope you all had a great time just like we did. See you next time.